Hello, entrepreneurs and self-starters. This is Ric Phillips from Yeti, and you're listening to the Startup Sandwich Podcast, the show that unpacks the bread-winning basics, juicy-filled journey, and secret sauce of entrepreneurship. Let's go. Welcome, Patrick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rick.
It's very good to see you. I run into you a lot through our Yeti adventures, but let's leave that alone for now. Let's start from the beginning. If you could tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey or when you started or what made you become an entrepreneur, that would be interesting, I think.
Yeah, my entrepreneurial journey started as a teenager while I was still in high school. I was always trying to find ways to make money beyond a wage. So I found ways of recycling and reusing other items that people were discarding. So one example is I was in charge of, and this might age me a little bit, I was in charge of typewriter rentals in an office supply store. And one of the jobs I had was to take their serial number and document how many typewriters we had. And this was all pen and paper, pre-computer, pre-internet era. And I ended up with a surplus typewriter. And I brought that to the attention of my boss and said, hey, I've got this extra typewriter, very valuable thing at the time. Mm-hmm. And they said, we don't see it. We don't want to know about it. So then I became a typewriter salesperson. First move.
So opportunity knocked.
Opportunity knocks, yeah. Yeah.
Was this in Ireland?
This was in Ireland, yeah. It was a once-off thing. And that sort of sparked the idea that there's other opportunities. So I began, I guess, as a micropreneur or an opportunist. And sort of fed off that and tried to find ways to scale and grow and leverage other assets to become a solopreneur.
There's people that talk about, are entrepreneurs made or born, or, people have this conversation. Right. I wonder what you think about that question.
Well, definitely I was an outlier with my friends. Like they saw me as taking too much risk. They didn't understand how I have had I guess in some cultures they said the chutzpah to go out and do it, or the
cojones?
Yeah, cojones.
Okay, we can swear in different languages, just not English, no problem.
We're multicultural.
We are.
So, I always had the attitude of trying. I mean, during primary school and high school, I wasn't met with the most favorable circumstances with teachers. I was always the one pushing the envelope and asking questions beyond the curriculum, and that didn't put me in good favor with authoritative or authoritarian personalities,
right?
And which were many in my world, in the teacher world. So I was used to that. I was used to being brushed off or chastised or disciplined for taking an outside perspective. Right. So it didn't bother me when it came to entrepreneurial pursuits, because no is the biggest word and the most frequent word you're going to hear. And you just have to keep adjusting and keep problem solving to get a yes. So I think that circumstantially, I was groomed to be an entrepreneur. Whether or not you're born with it or you grow into it, I'm not quite sure. But definitely a personality helps. A robust personality helps.
Right. Well, just by talking or listening to you, I'm reminded of other people's phrases. They say things like have a thick skin and they say things like be resilient and be a risk taker and think outside the box. So all of those things seem to match up with what you're talking about as well.
Right. And I would say that an educated risk versus just jump off the cliff risk.
Right.
So educated risks are so much more, the odds are greater. The odds are greater in your favor that it's going to work out. That's the thing that pushes you beyond the curve. And if I might add, what brought me to Yeti was that if you get education to back up your informed risk taking, well, people can't relate to it because you're so informed, but it's no longer a risk to you because you are informed, but they don't see the depth of your knowledge or the background work you've done to make that decision. And I think it's very much like professional sports. We all see the player, she goes down the basketball court and she puts in a basket and we go, oh, wow, did you see that basket? We don't see the 10,000 reps she did before she came to the court. We don't see the decision she's making going down the court. And that's informed risk-taking.
Mm-hmm.
And it puts them ahead of everybody else. So building your knowledge base so you can take a greater risk, I think, is the way to enhance your entrepreneurial success.
Well said. You know, Patrick, I know you, but I don't know you. We were sort of talking about this before we started. I've known you for a few years, and you know, you're very personable, and you and I always talk and joke, and but I actually don't know a lot about you. So I guess what I want to ask is, I'm going to ask a couple questions. You can decide how to answer them. When did you come to Canada? Why did you come to Canada? And how was it adjusting to, let's call it, the Canadian business landscape?
Oh, great questions. Yeah. So when did I come to Canada? I came in 1988. Why? So as you know, I grew up in Ireland, and the only way to get a really good job in Ireland at the time, so this is 1980s, early 1980s into late 1980s, was to wait for someone else to leave the job. And in a small town, which I grew up in, actually I grew up in the country, but the small town I did business in, you had to wait for people to give up their job. They weren't giving up their job. There wasn't much migration within a community. Everybody was very multi-generational. The families are multi-generational. There are great opportunities there. I came to Canada because it would broaden my perspective and it would broaden my opportunities. And Ireland is known as a country of immigrants. Like, Irish are everywhere. Like, so everybody had a story about a relative who was an immigrant, went to Canada, went to anywhere in the world, and came back with stories. So I wanted to explore that too.
Okay.
So it was part a bit of adventure, and there was a part pursuing better career options.
And how did you find let's talk about the Canadian business landscape. I know we could have an hour segment on just talking about culture, but let's forget about that for now. In terms of when you entered the workforce here in whatever industry, was it easy? Was there complications? Was there weird things that the Canadians were doing that you weren't sure why they were doing it, or et cetera?
Right. So Canada, in comparison to the Irish business landscape, was wide open. Like, it was like so many opportunities, so many resources available that weren't available to me in Ireland at the time. In Ireland, I went to the local library as an example to get out to see if I could further my knowledge, and went to go take out any business book they had. Went down to the business section, there was one book on the shelf.
Right. When
I came to Canada, I ended up in the North York Library there beside Douglas Snow Aquatic Centre. It was like 10,000 books. I'm like, wow. So there was every opportunity to succeed. The depth of knowledge was there. There's business development desk. There's everything. You could not try if you were interested in setting up a business. You could always fail, but you could not try.
Right. So there seemed to be, I mean, people talk about now anyway, people, and by people, I mean people in government or people in entrepreneurship. They say, you know, the government support a lot of small business and entrepreneurship, many levels. Did you find that was more or less the same in the 90s as well?
Yeah, absolutely. In comparison to where I came from, yeah. Yeah, and there wasn't as many gatekeepers. You know, you didn't have to appease any political or personality to get going. You just decided and kept going.
So we didn't have to bribe the local official.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't have to appease them in some way and say, I'm not going to take your bread, I'm making my own bread. Right.
Yeah. Let's talk about your current business, Demo For Your Reno. How did it get started? And, you know, let's talk about the foundation of that company.
Right. So I filled a gap. So I worked for a demolition contractor who became unionized. And unionized labor forces are way more expensive than non-union labor forces. And in becoming unionized, he had to vacate all his non-union clients. Those clients had a business relationship with him and me because I was the lead guy. And they in turn came back to me and said, hey, we know your boss has gone on to become unionized. What about you? Will you do the same work for us? I just stepped into the gap. Never say no.
You're an opportunist again.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But you have to be in the game to get the pass, right?
Right. You know, there's some ancient wise saying that I don't remember, of course, something about I don't know, a tiger waiting in the bushes. You know, if it doesn't pounce on the prey because it's having a nap, it misses the opportunity. So you have to be aware and very astute that this opportunity is in front of you.
And know that the failure button is always there. So, some people wouldn't do it.
So you were thrust into that, it sounds like.
I jumped in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jumped in.
Yeah.
And how was growth in the early years?
Oh, so I started out in a Pontiac Sunfire.
Nice.
With a ladder sticking out of the trunk and temporary labor in the passenger seat.
Right.
My very first job was to go to, not Bowmanville. What's further out than Bowmanville? Oh, I can't remember.
Belleville.
Belleville.
That's my hometown, man.
Thank you. Sorry. Went out to the Belleville Mall.
That's my hometown.
Right on. I won't
so you went to the Quinty Mall?
Yes.
Just proving that it's my hometown. Okay.
I went there after hours to take down a hoarding from in front of a store.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I had temporary labor. I had no employees.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was to take down like 20 sheets of drywall from in front of a store that was opening up. Has to be done at night because it's opening the next morning.
Right.
Cleaners are inside working like mad to clean the store. Every brand ambassador for that store is going crazy. You can't do this, you can't do that. And all that's going on. So funny story. Driving out, like I said, ladder in the trunk of the car, barely any tools, but you're only taking down drywall, so it's not that complicated. Mm-hmm. No electrical, no water, no structural. Driving out with a guy, and I go past Oshawa, and the guy stops and he goes, "Where are we going?" Where are you taking me?
Where are you taking me?
Yeah,
exactly.
He had safety concerns. yes. So obviously the temporary labor agency didn't inform him about how far away the job was. So he was very worried about, anyway, I appeased him, bought him a coffee, everything was cool. We got the job done and came back. Yeah. So that was the early days. So it's all about failing forward, as everybody knows. It's all about getting up again and resetting and raising your standard each time. Mm-hmm. And you have to raise your standard each time. Even if it's just having 2 screwdrivers versus 1 screwdriver.
Right.
You have to raise your standard. And obviously client relationships, the whole administrative back end of it, the legal, the risk side of it, the same thing. You got to keep raising your standard and grow into it. One of the biggest things you can do to save yourself from drowning is don't jump into the deep end on your first try.
Yeah. Good advice.
Yeah.
And the audience that are not familiar with Demo For Your Reno, could you give us a little bit of an idea of what is the product service offering?
Oh, our product service offering. So primarily demolition, residential demolition. We also do underpinning, which is lowering basements. We do excavation by hand and by machine. And we build ICF, as insulated concrete foundation walls.
Okay.
That's our primary services.
The next question I have is, what brought you to Yeti?
Oh, my God. So I have I'm blessed with a couple of different diplomas and degrees. And I always long thought I should further my knowledge again to inform my risk taking, and wanted to do an MBA. But the traditional MBA is not about entrepreneurship. It's about procedure and calculating and managing, which is correct. Mm-hmm. It's correct for a manager. It's not, for my view, not for an entrepreneur. Then Yeti put up a program, their MBA program, for entrepreneurs. Distinctly different in that, first of all, it said it was for entrepreneurs. Second of all, the instructors are entrepreneurs. Third of all, and shockingly, and almost like world renowned, is the fact that each of those entrepreneurs are academics. Mm-hmm. So it's such an informed instructor base. It was available after hours, which meant I could keep running the business. It is available, each lecture I went to, I could apply immediately within the next day or two in the business. And it was all founded on well thought out curriculum and tempered by the experience of the instructor. Mm-hmm. So that made it very attractive for me to go there.
Very good. I want to ask a follow-up question, and I'm not looking for maybe specifics about the Yeti programs and teachers per se. Mm-hmm. Rather, as you were going through that yourself, did you find a temptation, almost weekly maybe, to change something, to pivot, and how does that enter into your mind? Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs out there are always thinking, like, should I stay the course? Should I pivot? I got to be. You get all these different advice. You get opinions. You get YouTube channels. You get Yeti instructors. You should do this. You should that. Like, how did you deal with that, and what happened in your journey?
Yeah, very good question. So, like I said, the instructors are tempering the academic knowledge with their practical knowledge. So it was easy for me to separate the wheat from the chaff, if you like. I was able to see what I could and couldn't apply. I was able to see my blind spots and go, oh my God, I should have been paying attention to that, right? Especially from a financial perspective, like the financial course. And I think most entrepreneurs would shy away from the financial, from the legal. Most entrepreneurs are technically driven, right? They're technically capable. So that was very informative. So deciding what to deploy and what not to deploy in the business as I learned it was a challenge. It was a challenge because you have a flywheel effect in any business. And if you start knocking its equilibrium, you're going to send it off in all kinds of directions and potentially implode a process.
Right.
So I was very thoughtful about not coming back and going, hey, at Yeti, we learned this, and from now on it shall be forevermore. We do it this way, because you will blow up your team.
Right.
So I drip fed, if you like, the information and slowly integrated it in. So rather than coming in just saying, here's the switch, now we're going that direction. So it was very easy to find the information that was applicable to me and to the business because of the instructor's delivery. Quite honestly, because of their delivery. I could leave stuff on the shelf that would never apply to me and take the stuff that did apply.
That reminds me of a famous saying by Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Because he taught mixed martial arts before mixed martial arts was a thing. And he always told his students, I mean, like, according to the book, he said, take what is necessary and discard the rest.
Right.
Like, essentially take what you like and need, but don't be afraid to throw out the other stuff.
Right.
And that was unheard of at that time, because back in the day, any traditional thing, traditional art, whether it's, let's say calligraphy or, it doesn't have to be martial arts, but it's like teacher say, student do, right? It's like, you don't question, you just do it. This is the way it's been done for hundreds of years.
Right.
So for someone to say like, no, actually you can take what you like and discard the rest and modify and play and cross-train. It's essentially like entrepreneurship. He was an entrepreneur in that regard and creating something. I found that interesting. So I'm going to shift back to your story. And some entrepreneurs out there get advice about how important advisors are, mentors. Maybe it's the board members themselves, maybe it's staff. How do you know who to share the information with and who not to, in terms of the levels? There's the contractors, there's stuff. Is there one person? Is there 5 people? How do you decide who you're going to bat those ideas off of before you implement them?
Well, I think your previous statement before your question was the answer, is that it's a buffet.
Yeah.
And thankfully we have that here in Canada. Like, you have a buffet of opinion. You have a buffet of informed or uninformed people. And I listen to all and take what I need and discard the rest. But that filter is the thing that allows me to do that, is that I ultimately pay the price if I'm wrong. I'm not putting it on anybody else if I'm wrong, right? It's my business that suffers if I'm wrong. It's not your business. It's not your paycheck. It's my business. The profit line goes up or down based on my decision. So I listen to everybody and apply what I think will work. And like every other entrepreneur, wrong most of the time. But you got to keep going. You got to keep correcting. You got to keep going, digging. Yeah. It's we live in such a rich world in terms of information and content. I mean, YouTube, Yeti, like, wow, like just wow. Like from only seeing one book on the shelf in a library in my hometown, to what's available now. It's like, oh man, if I was living in this world back then.
Right.
Oh.
But yeah, you are still taking advantage of what's available to you today, which is fantastic.
Yeah, this is Rick, yes.
Very good. I want to ask a little bit about the company, Demo For Your Reno. How many years has it been in operation?
So I have had a demolition company since about 1991 or so. And I've had a few various incarnations of that. But Demo For Your Reno has been around since 2018.
Okay. So in that case, I'll let you answer it as you like. My question is, what type of interesting or unique innovations have you either seen in the industry or have you implemented yourself? Maybe something that you thought it's outside of the box. You got some advice from a dream or whatever resource, and you tried something and maybe it was a bit different, but it worked.
Right. Yeah, so one of the things, an overarching thing that we're deploying in our business is a lean methodology from lean manufacturing from Japan. And it has quite rightly empowered the staff. So they're now no longer gambling. We're no longer dealing with an authority in the business. We're dealing with processes in the businesses. So that is absolutely one of the biggest things that we've brought in to empower, like I said, empower our teams. They're so capable once empowered through the lean methodology. Some of the things we're trying and experimenting with that hasn't been done in the industry. So one of the things we developed is a shredder that allows us to shred demolition debris. Initial thoughts were to do that so that we could improve productivity on site. But then I partnered with another entrepreneur, Lexi from Rhizome, and he was trying to create soil admixtures. And I had demolition debris. So we got together. We applied for an NSERC grant.
Okay. I don't know that one. I'm not
familiar with it. I probably got the acronym wrong too, but it's basically a scientific research grant through Seneca College, and we were awarded the grant.
Nice.
So we took some of our shredded demolition debris, brought it into a lab environment, and they came up with different recipes or formulas, and we're now growing basil and arugula in the lab.
Nice.
The next level of that is to take the plant and test it for heavy metals,
right?
Things like that. So we're at that stage now. So they're testing for heavy metals to see if it'll be edible.
Right.
It's nice and green, but it may not be edible, right? Right.
Those are hardy plants. I assume that's why you're testing
chew on
those.
them. Yeah, they're structural plants. Yeah. So there are some of the things we're doing that I don't think any other demolition company is doing. And it's through partnerships. It's through forward thinking. It's through the idea of when I decided to build a shredder, everybody said no. Everybody said no to me. Every Canadian, every North American manufacturer I went to said no, not in their wheelhouse. They're not going to do it. I finally found a guy in Germany who was Romanian to build it for me and ship it over to me.
Right.
It's like 300 pounds of metal.
Right.
And the challenge with that was then I got a European spec motor with a European spec controller that does some work in Canada. So then I had to solve that problem after paying full pop.
Right.
Anyways, you just keep going. So when I built the shredder, I had no idea that Lexi from Rhizome Environmental would be in the wings saying, hey, why don't we grow stuff with your stuff? And I met him through networking through the Toronto Circularity Network, TCN.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously networking is very important. I was going to ask how you
super important. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You're what is it? 6 degrees of separation.
That's what they say. It's what Kevin Bacon says.
Right. So it's really about meeting people, talking to people, sharing the same mindset, or find people who share the same mindset. If you're in the wrong room, you're in the wrong room, but you got to go out.
Right.
Got to go out.
I want to talk a little bit about the idea of partnerships and joint ventures. I think a lot of entrepreneurs out there might be interested to know more. A lot of us entrepreneurs have this opportunity where you're talking to someone, you meet, they've got an idea, suddenly the sparks are flying, we could do this together.
Yes.
And then that question comes up, well, how do we structure it? Is this something written on a napkin? Do we call it a joint venture? Or do one of us hire the other initially and just keep it a contract? So tell us about the process of how you thought about this and what you ultimately decided on doing in terms of this shredder.
Right. So you're right, it's a complicated process, very complicated. I've failed in that regard too, several times. Started out with business relationships that didn't work out. They didn't end in a tragic way, but they didn't work long term. So eventually finding like-minded people with similarity or symbiotic relationship where it works for everybody. But still, there's so many forces at play in any business landscape, not to mention relationship landscape, that you never know what's coming next.
Right.
So I move forward with an open book, an open heart, and I keep adjusting as the relationship evolves, as the business landscape evolves.
Right.
I don't think it's a set and forget thing with relationships. Constantly maintaining it, very much like a marriage, very much like dating. You've got to be talking to each other. You've got to be adjusting to each other. You've got to be finding alignment or understanding where there's misalignment and making an agreement that's acceptable or not acceptable moving forward. I think that and not to bash anybody, but I think when you get lawyers involved, it gets super complicated. And if you can move forward in the spirit of pursuing a common goal and let the legal stuff manage the risks as opposed to manage the relationship, I think that's the way to move forward.
Well, following up on what you just said, I tend to think of joint ventures like dating and a partnership like marriage. And obviously, it's more complicated to dissolve a marriage as it would be a partnership. So I think it is attractive for some people to initially start with a joint venture and then see where it goes, then maybe form a solid partnership later on. And even in that joint venture, people have to have some structure. And sometimes the emails that go back and forth are absolutely fine. They're legally fine. And so other people want more meat and potatoes to the documentation.
Right.
But I find, in my opinion, and maybe you share the same, that the joint ventures are easier to start and as it's almost like doing a pilot project. Let's just do it as a joint venture. Let's agree ahead of time on the split, right? Who's putting in what skin in the game, and then from there, let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, so that's exactly how we started out with Rhizome. We came up with a split.
Yep.
They needed us, we needed them. We didn't divvy up the potential spoils of the relationship because nobody knows they're going to be there or not.
Right.
And one thing that I do some competitions on the weekends and stuff like that. One of my race partners said, he said, when you get a win, you've trained for it, but you've never planned for it. You can't plan for the win. You've got your training, your process, your steps towards it are good and strong. You might get the win. You're not guaranteed the win. So the same with joint ventures, the same with partnerships. You're not guaranteed a win, but you definitely have to put in good structure and good training to get there.
Right.
It's super. That's it. And as long as that's going well, you'll feel it. You'll feel the harmony. You'll feel the vibes, and know that things are going well.
Good. A related topic, and I think it's something you have dealt with, I'm sure, is employee versus contractor. Right. And so again, for entrepreneurs out there, some people they want to hire somebody, or whatever industry it is.
Right. And
they may have to decide, is this a person, an employee or a contractor? How do you decide? And in general, what's better?
Right. So again, the legal landscape kicks in and CRA kick in pretty strong there. So you have a whole slew of liabilities with respect to an employee, and same with a contractor. So you have to be careful to keep the two separate. So from our perspective, a contractor who comes to work for us has to have their own business entity, has to have all their legal ducks in a row, has to have all their insurance ducks in a row, and has to be compliant with our performance objectives and our brand objectives. So we don't want them polluting our workforce, and we don't want them polluting our team environment. We have to be sure that there's alignment there. We also have to ensure there's an alignment with our clients. I mean, ultimately, your client pays your bill.
Right.
So with contractors, it's very hard in the construction world to pre-qualify them. There's no licensing, there's no standard within the industry that says, oh, this is an A level, B level. It's all market.
Sorry, that sounds like a business opportunity right there.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. If you like imposing standards. Entrepreneurs tend not to.
Right. Hire someone else to do it.
Yeah,
take a cut.
Hire a lawyer.
Hire a lawyer.
Yeah. So it's very hard to qualify them. But again, over time, you start with small things like joint ventures. You start with small things and you learn where the pluses and minuses are in the relationship, and you adjust accordingly. And ultimately, it's fit. Again, it's dating. It's back to dating. If you're good at dating, you'll be good at entrepreneurship. Honestly, you will be, yeah. So contractors and employees, so if you have any entrepreneurial spirit, and most immigrants do, it's very hard for them to be an employee. So I would respect that. At the same time, I would ask them to come to the table with a mature business offering versus I want to be an employee, a contractor, not an employee. They have to inform themselves a lot more, understand what the risk is, understand what they have to deliver, because we're their client now.
Right.
So they have to deliver to us, their client. And most people don't cross that bridge. They're technically capable, but business-wise lacking.
This is an interesting perspective that you're bringing. You're letting the entrepreneurs out there know that they have to decide themselves what's best for their business. Do they want employees or contractors, and why? And then when you're doing the interviewing, making sure that that person is sort of fit to be the contractor they're advertising themselves to be.
Yes.
So then the interview becomes quite important, I think.
Very. And the risks to you own the client relationship, but a contractor has no obligation to maintain that and might even poach your client.
Right.
A big risk.
Right.
A big risk.
Right. And no matter how many waivers or NDAs they sign, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't count.
Right.
So the non-compete clause is countered by the right to work clause.
Right. It's a wash.
Yeah. And who's going? Any one client on a small contractor basis is not worth the money to legally defend it.
Right. Right.
So you end up in a bit of a fist fight or a bloodbath with the whole thing.
Right.
And you're better off not going into the ring because nobody's going to win. Everybody's going to get a bloody nose. What's the point?
Good advice.
So just stay clear of the fire.
Right.
Yeah.
I got lucky once. There was an incident where there was a person who was working for me, and at the end of the day, we had a disagreement about what the relationship was. Was it joint venture or other? Was it employee versus contractor?
Right.
Anyway, what happened was, luckily for us, and this goes along your idea of the lawyers who can be expensive and all that stuff, and we didn't have to use lawyers because CRA was able to actually judge our situation. They interviewed him, interviewed me, asked questions, basically based on the bullet points they have in terms of this is what a contractor is, this is what an employee is. And based on the majority of that, I ended up winning that situation. And I had to spend zero money on lawyers.
That's
and so I always want to pass that on to entrepreneurs out there that CRA somewhere and all that mess of a website has actual bullet point listings of employee versus contractor.
Oh, they absolutely do.
Yeah.
So super important that your contractor have other clients. That's one of the qualifying criteria for them to be.
And they have to bring their own tools.
They have to bring their own tools, to supply their own tools. They're liable for all their own safety, their own PPE, their own training.
Yeah.
They can set their own time. Right. And they deliver projects. That's it.
Right.
But like you said, CRA has qualifying criteria. And if you end up consuming that contractor with 100% of their workload, you end up becoming an employer.
Right.
Yeah.
And so once again, just turning this on to the entrepreneurs out there who may have whatever industry they're in, they may decide to hire contractors at first because maybe it's easier, of course, they're getting employees. But if you, and I guess we're talking to the founders here, so if you start micromanaging them and telling them do this according to this, that, now you're making them an employee,
right?
And you're going to get to change the relationship.
It has to be outcome based,
right.
Yeah, and important that the other contractor have employees as well. That they should have some level of like team members on their staff.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Let's go back to your business, Demo For Your Reno. What can you tell us is maybe in the near future, anything in the next 6 months to 6 years, anything new and interesting on the horizon, any expansion, any innovation?
Okay, great stuff. So happily, our team members are all embracing the lean methodology. So we keep continuous improvement as part of our culture now. Very happy with that. I think that's a living, breathing entity and should be. One of the things that we're wrangling with at the moment is AI. So just this morning I had a call from an AI recruiting agency and they said, we will find the best employees for you. So we're it's all hands on in our world. So I asked the salesperson, how would they do that? Oh, we have AI review their resume. Okay, great. So how does that give me a better candidate? Well, it parses and it decides and it does all this other stuff. It's like, okay, but you do know that every one of those applicants are using AI to generate a resume.
Right.
So one is fighting the other.
Right.
And I said, ultimately, it's a wash. And the only thing we can do in a trade, and particularly in trades, is see that person in action. So we're trying to solve that puzzle. So in terms of innovation, one of our recruiting innovations is to bring potential team members to a tryout day.
Oh, good.
And we have, if you will, workstations where they rotate amongst workstations. And it's self-selecting, like you proclaim your level of competency and you're allowed to show that in that moment. So we rotate them through. Most recently, we worked with George Brown College with their pre-apprenticeship program for construction craft worker. And they came out and they were shocked to learn that what's happening in the classroom is slightly removed from what's happening in the field. Construction is very demanding. Like it's very demanding. It's very hard to replicate it in a classroom. You will learn the skills, but how to apply them in different environments. Like you can cut a piece of wood straight in a classroom, in a workshop. You go out to a job site, well, there's no bench anymore.
Right.
The wind is blowing. There might be rain.
Right.
The tool you have may or may not have a good blade on it. There's so many other variables that enter into the equation once you get into the field.
Right.
And that's true in every trade. So it was very, very educating for us and for them. And it's one of the innovations we have for recruiting is that we've gone beyond resume. We don't ask for resume. We ask you to come and try out.
Try and come and prove it. Put your money where your mouth is.
Well, yeah. And it's to be fair to them and to be fair to us, because if we ask a team member to go do something they're not capable of,
right,
that's not right.
Right.
We're throwing them in the deep end.
Right.
Construction has high risk factor for injury and accidents. We don't want to do that. If someone is uncomfortable working on a 3-story chimney, we don't want to find out when they're on top of the chimney.
No,
right?
For sure.
Right. Someone's uncomfortable carrying a certain amount of weight. We want to know ahead of time, keep them safe.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. Makes sense. Normally I ask the entrepreneur guests, I say, what's your secret sauce? As a sandwich has a secret sauce, but it sounds to me like you've already answered that. The innovation is obviously the lean process you've incorporated, which is Kaizen essentially, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Continuous improvements. Yeah. And then of course this unique interview process where they get to do the trial by fire, I suppose. I love that. So that's amazing. And people are responding to it and your team's on board and it's implementing it.
Our team members come out, they're part of the trial day. So it's not us.
Right.
Not management per se, it's our team members or our crew leaders are there.
Right.
And they get to assess. And it's very informed because they get to also pass on some tips to the candidates as well.
Right.
And it's very, what do you call that word? Where it's not a top-down process. It's more of an interaction between us and them.
It's flat.
It's obvious to you.
Yeah.
It's obvious to you. Like if we asked you to take out, like one of our tasks is to take out nails out of a piece of wood, which is something we do in demolition all the time. But those nails, the one thing about Canada is there's so many nails. You go to Home Depot, see how many nails are on the shelf?
Yes.
So you've got a buffet of nails in a piece of wood.
Right.
So understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each type of nail, how to approach it, how to pull it out, can become very frustrating in a timed event in front of some level of assessment.
Right.
So it's very simple, but a very real test.
I love it. I love it. By the way, it may surprise you to learn that I did roofing for 3 years when I was in.
Good man.
So I dealt a lot with different types of nails and heavy things to carry up ladders on roofs. So
bloody hell.
Yeah. That was educational. Say the least.
Yeah. It's also a good workout every day.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you're a young man, why not, right? Do it while you get some money. It was great. My Belleville days. Yeah. So Patrick, our time is out. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Rick.
I think this interview, I think that we got more into a lot of how an entrepreneur thinks in some of the spirit of entrepreneurship, which I think the audience will really enjoy. So that was great. I really enjoyed it. I learned some stuff myself. And if people want to find you and ask you follow-up questions, would it be LinkedIn or where would you like them to look?
Find my profile on LinkedIn under Patrick McCormick. Demo For Your Reno is on LinkedIn, Instagram. A lot of good content on Instagram if you want to understand the culture of the company. And of course, we have a website, demoforyourreno.com.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Thank you, Rick. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you for watching. And be sure to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you check out your podcasts. Until next time, keep turning small bites into big wins.